How does one man rise from obscurity to control an entire nation? How can his leadership reshape the world, for good or for unimaginable destruction? Adolf Hitler remains one of the most studied figures in modern history, not because of admiration, but because of the consequences of his leadership. Consequences that changed the world forever. Adolf Hitler was born in 1889 in Austria. His early life was largely unremarkable. He struggled academically and dreamed of becoming an artist, but was rejected from art school. Eventually, he moved to Germany, seeking purpose and opportunity. In 1914, World War I began. Hitler volunteered to serve in the German army. The war became a defining experience in his life. Germany's defeat in 1918 left the nation in economic collapse and political turmoil. Hyperinflation made daily life unbearable. Unemployment skyrocketed. Citizens felt humiliated by the Treaty of Versailles, which imposed severe financial and territorial penalties on Germany. Periods of crisis often create political instability, and instability creates opportunities for bold leaders. In the early 1920s, Hitler joined a small political organization that would later become known as the Nazi Party. He quickly distinguished himself as a speaker. His speeches promised to restore Germany's pride and strength. But alongside these promises, Hitler promoted dangerous ideas. He blamed minority groups for Germany's problems and used propaganda to spread these messages. Over time, his following grew. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Soon after, he began consolidating power. Political opponents were arrested. Civil liberties were restricted. Independent institutions were weakened. Germany transitioned from democracy to dictatorship. The Nazi government controlled the media, education, and public messaging. Large rallies projected unity and strength. Dissent became dangerous. At the center of Hitler's ideology was a belief in racial superiority. This led to discriminatory laws targeting Jewish citizens and other minority groups. Over time, discrimination escalated into systematic persecution. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland. This act triggered World War II, a conflict that would involve dozens of nations and result in tens of millions of deaths. As the war expanded, the Nazi regime carried out the Holocaust, the systematic murder of 6 million Jewish people, along with millions of others targeted by the state. By 1945, Germany faced defeat. Allied forces advanced into country. In April that year, Adolf Hitler died in Berlin as the war reached its final phase. Germany surrendered shortly afterward. So who was Adolf Hitler? He was a political leader who rose during a time of crisis, used propaganda effectively, dismantled democracy, and promoted extremist ideology. His leadership led to war, genocide, and global transformation. But his story is also a warning. It shows how economic hardship can make societies vulnerable to radical movements. It shows how persuasive rhetoric can influence millions. It shows how quickly democratic institutions can weaken. History does not repeat itself exactly, but it often echoes. Understanding Adolf Hitler is not about glorifying the past. It is about understanding systems, choices, and consequences. It is about recognizing that leadership matters and protecting democracy requires vigilance. More than 8 decades later, his story continues to be studied worldwide because its lessons remain relevant. History cannot be changed, but it can be understood. And understanding is where responsibility begins.